First things first, let's get one thing out of the way. A common misconception, the power of the battery does not affect the velocity of the BB. The battery merely supplies power for the motor to pull the spring backwards. In other words, the spring determines the velocity. What the battery does affect is the rate of fire and the trigger response. More juice means less of a delay between pulling the trigger and the BB actually leaving the barrel. What's going on, guys? Vincent here, bringing you another Toronto Airsoft guide video from the land of red, white, and igloo. Today, we're taking a look at some batteries, and I'm going to give you the info that you should know on nickel metal hydride versus Lipo. And then, after all that fun, we're going to go ahead and run some different batteries in the same gun. Make sure you buy a good quality battery and charger. Just like BBs, you're not doing your gun justice if you skimp out on the necessities. I know it sounds like a sales pitch to sell more smart chargers, but seriously, ditch that $100 molly vest from your shopping list, at least for now. Your gun, i.e. your investment, will thank you. Also, never leave your battery plugged into your gun when not using. It will continue to discharge and can permanently destroy your battery. Nickel metal hydride, or nickel for short, is great for beginners. They're relatively stable, chemically speaking, and take very little precautions to use safely. Simply charge them up, run them until they're dead, and charge them up again. Woohoo! The MAH number, or milliamp hours, refers to the capacity of the battery. The higher the number, the more shots that it can fire before it dies. Lipo batteries, or lithium-ion polymer batteries, are quickly becoming the standard for all things rechargeable. In fact, there's probably one in your pocket right now. Lipo batteries offer more power and capacity versus a nickel battery with a smaller and lighter form factor. So what's the downside? Well, Lipo batteries have a more volatile chemical structure and have been known to catch fire. Cough, Samsung, cough, Note 7, cough. But given the correct precautions, Lipo batteries are very safe. In fact, people have been running them for years without any issue. Let me give you the rundown. Lipo cells are 3.7 volts each, and battery packs are usually 2 or 3 cells, meaning 7.4 or 11.1 volts respectively. All you gotta remember is Lipo batteries don't like to be over-discharged or overcharged. So keep them anywhere in between, and you've got yourself a happy Lipo. It's actually quite simple. As a Lipo battery dies, you'll notice the trigger response slowing down dramatically. Just stop shooting at this point and don't try to get every single shot out of that battery. You don't have to sit there and stare at the battery as it charges, but you shouldn't leave your house either. A 7.4 volt Lipo battery is roughly equivalent to a 9.6 volt nickel battery in terms of actual power coming out. You'll hear a lot of talk about Lipo-ready guns. What does that all mean? Basically, there's 2 conditions to be Lipo-ready: overall mech box quality as well as trigger contacts. A Lipo can send a lot more juice through your gun, so you want to make sure that your gun can handle that extra stress. Metal components as well as a good shimming job for those gears is a must for longevity. Lipos can cause something called arcing, which will corrode your trigger contacts over time. A MOSFET unit can prevent this problem because it's an electronic switch versus physical trigger contacts. Regardless of how Lipo ready you think a gun is, you should at max run a 7.4 volt Lipo or a nickel battery just to break in those gears. On to the scientific test. Today we're using a Vulcan Alloy Mark II as our testing platform and Blue Box mid-cap magazines for consistent feeding. Getting started with the 8.4 volt nickel battery, we see a rate of fire of 9 rounds per second, a little bit sluggish. Onto the more powerful 9.6 volt nickel. Rate of fire is bumped up to 12 rounds per second. Now we're getting somewhere. Moving on to Lipo. Our 7.4 volt 1000 milliamp hour battery gets us 11.9 rounds per second, or just under the power of 9.6 volt nickel. Next up is the 7.4 volt 1600 milliamp hour battery. A slight bump up to 12.6 rounds per second. Finally, we have the 11.1 volt 1200 milliamp hour battery. The fastest by quite a margin. We get about 19.2 rounds per second. Snappy. As a final note, if you want my opinion on the best first upgrade for any AEG, it's Dean's connectors. They offer a lower resistance connection versus Tamiya connectors and allows you to take full advantage of whatever battery you choose to go with. And there you have it, a battery of information on batteries. Don't like my puns? Don't get amped up. What are you going to do about it? Press charges? As always, thanks for watching, subscribe for more content, and we'll catch you next time.